Hello, my loves. Are we ready to get clear on our callings today? This is so good, so exciting, so much freedom coming. Hi, Sierra. Hi, Kim. Okay. Hello, my loves. I see some of you from yesterday. You set your calendar alarms. You're here. You're ready to get clear on your calling. Thank you guys. You're so nice. All right. Are you guys ready? So for those of you who were not around yesterday, we talked about some limiting beliefs that hold a lot of women back from pursuing purpose in addition to the purpose of motherhood, based on fear and just worries about what others are going to think and how it's going to affect your family, and all of that nasty stuff that we need to just kick to the curb, right? So we talked about how the first thing we need to do is to get really clear on your calling. That there were so many of you here who were sharing with me, and then even later in DMs, that you have ideas. You have ideas all the time. You want to have a business. You want to do something, but it's messy in your head and you can't get clear. And the first thing we have to do, which this is not in the PDF, this is from yesterday. So, and I'll tell you about the PDF as well, because it's free and you can get it for yourself if you don't have it already. The first thing we have to do is look at the limiting beliefs that we're holding. A lot of the time, like, really listen to this. This is the foundation, okay? A lot of the time, we cannot get clarity on what we're supposed to be doing because we are blocking it. Because if you have a belief, that, if I start the business, then this bad thing is gonna happen. The way that our brains are designed to work is beautiful and needed, and we appreciate it, and we're so grateful for our creator giving us these things in our brains, but sometimes it's like it misfires because it's not really serving our higher purpose, and we need to work through it. If you have a belief that something negative is going to happen if you do the thing you really want to do, then your brain is going to block it from flowing. So the way to step into flow with ideas and the way your brain is working is to obliterate limiting beliefs. So like we talked about yesterday, if you have a limiting belief that if I start the business and I work, then I'm going to be less of a good mom, I'm going to be less available for my kids, then your brain will literally block the flow of ideas, the flow of creativity, the flow of everything that relates to starting that business, because it's trying to keep you safe. Okay, it's like that fight or flight, safety response in our brains. So that is not in the PDF. We have the Get Clear on Your Calling PDF. That's not in here because you got to deal with that separate. Once you're ready to get clear on your calling, I'm going to walk you through it. I created this for you this last week. It's all ready to go. I don't know if it looks backwards to you guys. I think it does, but this is the Get Clear on Your Calling PDF. I printed it out. This is free on my website. So if you want to get it, go to my story. There's a swipe up link in there still. And it's free. You can go and get it. And you can feel free to stay on the call if you don't have it yet. That's totally fine. I'm literally going to walk us through it right now. And then you could also listen to this, get inspired, kind of feel all the things that you're feeling that you need. If you're feeling really good and inspired, or you feel like I just want to listen to Ali right now because I'm just feeling really lost. You can stay here, and then you can go and get the PDF and go through this later, and then watch this training again later, because I'll put the replay on IGTV, on YouTube. I'll send it in an email if you guys want me to. I'll make sure you have access to it. Okay, so let's go through this PDF. Get Clear on Your Calling. Sorry. All right, let's walk through this. I don't know why. Hopefully we're good. We want to be listening to our bodies. Your body will talk to you about what you should be doing. You'll get contracted in anxiety about something, or you'll expand and you'll feel really happy and good at the thought of something. We want to listen to our minds. We want to get in the practice. This is what I want you guys to do. I want you to be getting in the practice of letting ideas flow and teaching yourself and your mind, like, hey, I love you and appreciate you, and I give you space to come alive. When I get an idea, I write it down. Like, you want to just get into the practice of flow, okay? So if you have ideas, even incomplete ones, you are an entrepreneur at heart, and your ideas need to be given space. Okay, so that's step 2. So limiting beliefs, we talked about that yesterday and a little bit ago in this live, and then begin to give your ideas space. So let's brain dump. This is what we're gonna do first. You can do this now with me, or you can do this later. So there are 3 types of business ideas in my experience and in my opinion. Skill-based business ideas, passion or activity or interest-based business ideas, and then story-based business ideas. Okay, so mine is really a story-based business idea, but that has shifted into a passion and interest business idea, because I'm super passionate about what I do. You guys know that if you've been here for a minute. But my business came out of my story. Okay, does that make sense? So let's go through this. Skill-based business ideas first. So brain dump this out. What are you really good at? What is a skill, a talent that you have that you are super good at? Start brain dumping it out onto the paper, onto the PDF, into a journal, onto a screen, whatever floats your boat. What are you really good at? For me, I don't know what I would write here. Like, all of my stuff is spiritual, emotional, mental, passion, activity, interest-based, story-based. So I would struggle here. So it's okay if things are not just like flowing like crazy, or they may be for you. For my husband, Brian, this section was super full for him. He can do woodworking. He's really, really good. He loves like CrossFit and exercising and coaching people through that. And he's just a really, really good teacher. And he has so many different skills. Like, he could have any business that he wanted. He has so many different skills. So what are you really good at? Next, is there a skill that you have that you could imagine getting paid for? So let's use Brian as an example again, since I don't feel like I have a lot of skills that I would write down here. I would struggle in this. I guess I'm good at like hair and makeup, but I've already gone through beauty school and quit because I hated it and I didn't want to talk to people by force and touch their heads. So, but that is a skill that I have, right? What Brian, let's say like, oh, I'm really good at woodworking. I'm really good at building furniture. Well, could you imagine getting paid for that? Yeah, I could turn the garage into a wood shop and go at it. Well, great. That's an idea. It doesn't mean you have to do it. It's just brain dumping it out, getting it out, you're starting to get clear. Most of the things you write down in this PDF are not going to happen. That's not the point. We're getting clear. And to get clear, you got to get the ish out of your head and step into the flow of creativity that so many of you amazing women have been pushing down and suppressing instead of letting it flow and opening up to it because of fear, okay? So after you go through that, what are you really good at? Is there a skill you could see yourself getting paid for? How could you make money with these skills? So take it a step further and really think about it. Like, well, what would that look like? Is there a big hurdle in the way, like a big fee you'd have to pay to get certified for something? Or, for the woodworking example for Brian, like, what if we lived in an apartment and there was no space for him to do this? Like, how would he work through that? How would you work through these things? Maybe let's go back to the beauty school idea. Maybe you were like me and you went to beauty school out of high school, and you finished, so you didn't drop out, and you have that sitting in your back pocket. Like, well, that's a skill that you have. Like, you could make money with that. What would it look like in your house? What would it look like, with state board and all the things to think about? Like, how would it go? And maybe you'll find that you just totally hit a wall and you're like, well, it wouldn't go because I can't do it. Well, then, okay, we're just getting clarity, okay? Sorry that I keep doing that. There's like something wrong with my throat today. I can feel something like, ugh. Okay. So that's it for the skill-based brain dumping, okay? We're just kind of getting things out. We're gonna move on, and everyone should be trying to fill out every section, but it's okay if some are sparse and others are not. Let's move on to passion, activity, or interest-based business ideas, okay? Question number 1, what are you obsessed with? What are you obsessed with? What lights you up? Okay, a really great place to start is what kinds of topics or feeds fill your Pinterest and your Instagram feed because you can't get enough of it. Okay, so like I have a friend who she is obsessed with crystals and gemstones. She loves them. She loves learning about them. She thinks that everyone should have these gemstones in their home because they work like essential oils and they heal you and they can help you, and she loves them. So when she opens up her Pinterest, guess what she sees? Remedies with crystals, holistic health using crystals and gemstones. Instagram, same thing. She has crystal shops and she can see when they're having sales and she buys more crystals. Like this fills her space, even though she's not making money with it. She's obsessed with this. She's even like passionate about it. Like she thinks that everyone should be doing this and she loves it. And like if you know her in real life, you know that she's obsessed with this. She talks about it all the time. So she's obsessed with this. It lights her up. It fills her Pinterest. It fills her. Oops, sorry guys. Is it okay now? I don't know why that's happening. I'm like literally closest to the Wi-Fi that I could possibly be. Can someone tell me if it's good now? Tell me when we're good. Okay, we're gonna keep going. If a close friend were describing you, what would they say is your biggest interest or passion? So think about that. Think about the people that are close to you. What do people know about you? So like Carly's on here, and I'm not even like an in real life close friend of Carly, but I know her just through Instagram. And I know that she's passionate about abuse recovery. Like I would say that's something that she really cares about and she talks about, and it's on her Instagram. Like that's something she's very passionate about. So, or, like my friend with the crystals, I have another friend that's the same way with yoga. Robin Long is this way with Pilates. Like she's so passionate about it. So what would they say about you? Your biggest interest or passion? Okay. Once we're done with that, we're going to move on to the third type of business idea. And that is a story-based business, which Carly, your abuse recovery could also, I'm assuming, be from your story. If that is your story, like that's also a story-based business idea. So some things can kind of be in the middle. So let's go through this. Story-based business ideas. This is my business idea. My business is based on my story. So if you guys have ever heard me be interviewed on another show, when people are always like, oh my gosh, like this business idea, is amazing. I've never heard it before. How did you come up with this? I always say my business is based on my story. So my story and my motherhood and then me figuring that out for myself and seeing there were no resources and no help and figuring it out myself and then sharing it on my blog, and it picked up and picked up and picked up and I turned it into a business. Like that's a story-based business. So what's your story? Do you have a theme, a particular theme that you see running through your life so far? Was there a pattern that you broke? Is there a series of events that happened that led you to a certain point in your life where you have learned this thing? Like I'm going to use this example. It's a little bit extreme, but this is somebody that I know in my life. And this is the perfect example of a story-based like niche business. Actually, I'm not going to share her story because she wouldn't want me to, and I can't keep her anonymous. This is awkward. But okay, here's another one. I have a friend who got infected with something and she ended up like losing one of her legs. And through that story that happened to her, that she was so passionate about the normalization for amputees and seeing things in different perspectives. I actually know several people that have had a very similar story to this, which is weird because that's very niche. And if you guys follow Amy Purdy, she's another amputee with an amazing story. She's an incredible person. So these are story-based businesses, okay? But this one particular friend had the one leg amputated, and she's so passionate about talking about that now and normalizing it and showing herself like working out and going to dance class with her daughter and like doing all these normal things as an amputee. That's what she believes. And she gets a lot of feedback, some positive, some negative from the other people in the handicap community. Like she's ruffling feathers and inspiring, and that's what good stories do. Okay, my story ruffles feathers and it inspires. There are people who hate me and people who are like obsessed with me and my story. And that's what good stories do. Okay, so story-based business idea. Is there a particular theme that you see running through your life so far? Is there a particular lesson that you've had to learn that you really care about sharing? Who can relate to your story? What kinds of people could relate to your story? The reason I ask this, because this is kind of getting into like your ideal customer, but the reason I ask that is because I think sometimes when we get out of our own head and we remove ourselves from our own story, because we spend so much time in it, we can think like, oh, I just realized that there are other, it makes you think, even though you know consciously, asking who could relate to your story can help you kind of get out of your own head and realize like, oh my gosh, there are so many people that I know that have had the same story, and I just realized that I've been keeping this into myself and I want to share it. So understand that there's other people in the world who could benefit from hearing your story is huge and can really inspire you to get off your butt, basically. And how exactly can you relate to these people? So just like in the skill-based business section, we kind of were like, okay, well, like how could you make money with this skill? Like with the wood shop idea and like all of these things. So this is like that. How would you relate to them though? Like what would your message be? Get really clear. Get really clear on your story. Okay, I went through this thing in my motherhood and I couldn't find any help. I was asking around and getting super discouraged, right? And I couldn't find any resources, even books about like being a mom were just like really fluffy and not really helpful. Like I was getting organized and it kept coming undone and I was doing all these things and it wasn't working. So I had to figure it out for myself. And so that's my story. And then in sharing it, it's spread, right? And now there's other women doing what I do because it's spreading. Like nothing is original. We're just things that are good spread like wildfire. And so you need to put yourself out there and be one of the people who's doing what you're meant to do, who's doing what you're passionate about, okay? So that's the story-based business idea. What's your story? Is there a particular theme running through your life? Is there a particular lesson you've had to learn that you care about sharing? Who can relate to your story and how exactly can you relate to them? So if you were to sit, probably separate from this video since we're live and I'm moving kind of fast, and you were to brain dump out, you would have skill-based business ideas. Okay, you would have interest, passion, activity-led business ideas brain dumped, and you would have story-based business ideas brain dumped. There will be at least one area that's probably more sparse than the others. One of them will be a lot heavier. If this were me, I would have the story-based completely full, and I know that my brain would turn on and I would start writing so much and getting really amped up because that's what I'm called to. So usually there's gonna be one section that is like way more full, okay? My passion, my activities, my interests, I don't really have a ton of those. Like I love what I do and it's turned into my passion. Okay. Carly says that she's ran from this for a long time. But once I started sharing my story, everything else became so much more clear. Yes. Fourth and Olive says the passion section is full for me. Yay, clarity. Lydia, I'm listening and intrigued, but also you're making me want to get my itch together and put my face on. Oh my gosh, you're hilarious. Okay, so now you may have 3 different business ideas, okay? You may have a skill-based idea, a passion-based idea, a story-based idea, and you're like, okay, like I can see I've got a lot of, you may have only 1 or 2 ideas total. You may be feeling really stuck and need to do this later, that's fine. But you may have several in each category, like everyone is different, okay? And nothing is wrong, like it is all only you, okay? And if you're feeling stuck, I'm gonna guide you through this in a second, okay? At the end of this video, I'm gonna walk you through if you're like, yeah, I got nothing, okay? I've got you. So now comes the part that so many people skip because it's awkward and vulnerable and hard. And as women, we have been conditioned to really, calm down our feelings and suppress a lot of things. At least in my experience, that's been the case. So much teaching on suppressing and not being so dramatic and, you can't listen to your feelings. They're going to misguide you and all these just conditionings. So we're gonna turn all of that off right now. We're gonna decide now to turn that off, and we're going to feel into these things that we've brain dumped, okay? You can feel within your body your soul communicating with you, okay? You will either contract with tension at the thought of starting one of these businesses, or you'll imagine yourself actually starting one of these businesses and you will feel yourself expand with excitement. Sometimes you can even feel it so much that you literally push your body forward when you think about it and you don't notice it, but you're like imagining like actually starting one of these businesses and you're like leaning forward because it's like your heart, God, your higher self is like, yes, like it, you can really feel it, okay? And that is your business idea, and that is the one you should pursue. So I want you to go ahead. I want you to feel it all. Take notes on your internal reactions if it helps you. Do this later if it helps you. Do it now if it helps you. But I want you to look at your brain dumped ideas. We're going to go back to this page we just filled out. You're going to look at all of these business ideas that you brain dumped out. And I want you to close your eyes. I'm going to give you a minute of silence. Start doing it now. And I want you to imagine yourself starting a business. Like we're doing startup school. It's opening on Monday. I want you to imagine that you enroll in startup school and you are all in, like balls to the wall. You're doing this business. You're starting it. You start telling your parents, your spouse, your friends, your family, like I'm starting this business. And I want you to imagine that with each and every single idea you wrote down. And notice which ones make you contract and which ones make you expand. If you have several that make you expand, even better, you got choices, okay? We always have choices, but you know what I mean. What comes up? How do you feel? And really play it out. Imagine yourself, see yourself signing up for a business program. You're investing money into this idea. You're going to do it. You're going to be creating social platforms, creating email funnels, creating everything you need to actually bring in revenue from this idea. You're telling people in your life about it. At dinners, they're asking you how your blank business is going, and you're imagining it with every single one. And which ones make you contract, which ones make you expand, okay? We have to tap into our feelings. Because the thing is, you already know. Your unconscious, your higher self, you already know what you're here to do. We just gotta let it out. And this is how we let it out. Okay, I'm gonna give you 1 minute of quiet in case some of you guys are doing this live. Okay. So let's, if you guys need to do this later, that's probably better. We'll do that. And I gave you a second, but let's move on. So let's think through it a little bit more, okay? Keep your pen handy, or if you need to talk out your answers, like one of my favorite things to do, because I'm an external processor, is to either talk it out to Brian or call a friend, or I will open up the voice memo app in my phone and like talk it out to myself. It like feels like I'm on the phone and I'm externally processing, but no one's listening. So you can do that later, or you can do the journal, like whatever you want. With the one that made you expand, let's get a little bit clearer. Who do you want to serve? What kind of results can you help people achieve? That's a big one. What kind of results can you help people achieve? This should make you expand more, okay? So even like, okay, let's say that there's somebody here who's going through all of this, but they didn't contract or expand because they didn't do the exercise because they want to do it alone later, or they tried and nothing was coming up. This will help get more clarity, okay? So thinking about who you want to serve, and sometimes like just ask yourself, like get really still and breathe, and then just say like, what kind of people do I want to serve? And wait and see if you get an answer, okay? What kind of results can you help people achieve with these ideas? So if you need to, go back to the original page and just go through the list. What kind of results could I help people achieve with these? Like I just talked to a friend this morning who's a nutritionist. She has a skill and she makes money doing that. So the results she helps people achieve is getting to their healthiest weight and feeling really good about themselves. Okay, so like what kind of results can you help people achieve? Thinking about that may help you really expand. Next, what problem are you going to help your client solve? Is there a problem that you have the answer to? Okay. And then next, what result are you going to help them reach? Okay, this is kind of similar to the other questions, but I like to phrase things differently because some people's brains get triggered by, there's one thing I've learned from making 1 million PDFs, it's rephrasing helps trigger brains that work differently than mine. Okay, so really kind of thinking about like, okay, like if I were to do this, what kind of people would I be working with? Because like this is like the thing, I have an interest in hair and makeup, and I always have. I have always loved putting outfits together and expressing myself through style. Like I love tattoos. I love expressing myself with my body. I love like doing my hair and putting myself together, and I love like learning about color theory and makeup and all that stuff. But when I went to do it, I contracted. Okay, because I actually don't want to touch other people's heads and faces, okay? And I don't like that I have no control over who my client is. They just come in and I am like basically forced to talk to them because I don't like being told what to do because I'm an 8. So using the skill and interest that I have it made me contract. And I had to have my parents pay for beauty school to figure that out. So we want to skip that if at all possible. So thinking about, okay, well, like what kind of life would I be living if I did this? What kind of people would I be helping? Like, what would it look like? Thinking and really visualizing that through your day can help you contract or expand, if that makes sense. Okay. Yes, I can't wait for Unburdened today either. I can't wait to go live with you beautiful women. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is I want you to try to come up with, moving into your idea, whether you have massive clarity or you're still kind of figuring it out, I want you to move into like, imagine that you're doing each of these businesses, or just the one. If you already know what makes you contract or expand, pick the one that makes you expand. If you don't, do it with each business idea, okay? I want you to try to come up with 10 things that your ideal client would want from you, okay? We're getting more clear. Think like, how does this person want to feel? How do they feel before you? And how do they really want to feel? What do they want to learn? What goals do they have that you're going to help them get to? All of this is so detailed. It's helping you get into the space of doing this thing. And it's helping you imagine, and it's helping your brain create a movie in your head about what your life would look like, which will bring up the feelings we have suppressed for far too long so that we can get into our feelings. Carly, this is where I get stuck. Okay, Carly. So for you, because I know what it is that you're passionate about and your story, and I know what you do or what you want to do. I don't know if you're doing it yet. Your ideal client, let's go with the abuse recovery. Your ideal client has experienced abuse, right? There's no way that you're gonna have a client that's never experienced abuse and is hiring you as their abuse recovery coach, okay? So, okay, no worries, guys. We're gonna use Carly as an example, and Carly, I hope you're okay with this. I didn't even ask, but it's happening, so here we go. Carly's ideal client has gone through something. They've gone through abuse, okay? And Carly shares that with them. She's also experienced that. So she has a story-based business. It makes her expand, not contract. Okay. Carly is also amazing that she rocks blue hair. She has like the most adorable face. She has super pretty, like natural makeup all the time. She looks amazing. But I bet you if I was like, you should do that. You should do that business. Like forget the abuse recovery. Like you should do that. She would contract. Okay. So Carly is going to do abuse recovery. She has a story-based business. Her ideal client is someone who's experienced abuse. Okay. So she's going with that. How does her client want to feel? Well, they want to feel healed. And I'm just off the top of my head, you guys, so don't like judge me too hard for what I say here. They want to feel healed. They want to feel safe. They probably have like serious issues with like safety is our most primal desire. And they probably have deep, deep rooted feelings of not feeling safe. So they want to feel healed. They want to feel safe. They want to feel empowered because abuse, I'm imagining, is incredibly disempowering. They want to feel strong. They want to feel powerful. Powerful and empowered to me are different. I'm going through, like, I'm learning judo right now because I've had several situations while traveling alone where I felt very, very out of control and disempowered by men who, like, I had some experiences where I could feel like something almost happened and I felt unsafe in like a parking garage or in a hotel by myself. And I'm learning how to kick someone's ass because I want to feel empowered. Okay, so Carly's people would be wanting to feel powerful as well. They'd want to feel in control. Abuse, and for a woman being taken advantage of in that way, is very disempowering and makes you feel powerless, and it really takes your feminine power and just tries to like crack it and break it. So they want to get that back. These are powerful things. So Carly's ideal customer wants to feel all of these 5 things that we just came up with off the top of my head, and I'm sure there's more that Carly would maybe be able to tap into because that's her story. What do they want to learn? So for Carly, they want to learn how to work through what they've been through. They want to learn what they can do that to become empowered when they've felt so smashed and so powerless before, right? They may also want to learn some coping skills. They may want to learn how to cope with PTSD. Like, there's a lot of things that could be. What goals do they have? Well, the opposite of like how they feel now. Their goals are to feel all these opposite things, and their goals are probably to said I was paused again. Hopefully I'm good now. They would maybe, I'm just speaking for myself, they would maybe want to be able to accidentally come across their abuser on Facebook and not like relapse into panic attack or PTSD or eye twitching or like freaking out, their body just like going back to that time. That's maybe a goal that they would have. Okay. So Carly could just fill in all of this, and she has more than 10 things that her ideal client wants. Okay. We have a little bit of time and we only have one more page left. So I'm going to give another example. Let's go over my business as an example. Okay. 10 things my ideal client wants. She wants peace in her home and her family. She wants to live connected to her kids. She wants to not be cleaning up all the time. She wants to have freedom and clarity in herself so that she has mental space for what matters. She wants physical space for what matters. She wants healthy, strong relationships. She wants to be the owner of her life, the owner of her time. She wants to do motherhood in a way that works, not a way that is just stereotypical if it doesn't work. And she has a goal. She wants to be at her highest, most abundance, most better self she could possibly be for her family. Those are just 10 things, and I can think of 100 more. Okay? My passion is home design, but my story is how a beautiful home has served me and my family. Yes. I've always envisioned home design meets personal development, but it seems like it's not niched down enough. Fourth and Olive, what I would suggest, first of all, you need to niche down at first so you can be like the blank girl. Okay? So I started with decluttering. I don't care about decluttering. It's just a means to an end. I literally don't give a rip. I don't care about minimalism. I don't care about the rules. I don't care about I literally don't care. It's just a means to an end for a bigger, better, happier, more abundant life, right? But I had to niche down first. In that, I still talked about that though. Like I still talked about like how this is the way to get to all these other things. And we focused on that. And now I can talk about whatever I want, because I've proven my point. I went over the wall, and I have that notoriety, and people want to hear from me about business and other things. So it will happen for you. But I would suggest that you niche down to interior decorating, interior design, and that you speak about it from a place of like, this is so much more than a pretty bookshelf. Okay? Yes, Carly and Emily brainstormed together. This is beautiful, and I love it. Please connect with each other. I am obsessed with this. Women support women. Okay, we're going to move on from this one. All right. This is a really, really good one. I love doing this. Sometimes I revisit this, especially if I'm creating a new product, or when I was kind of branching out into teaching business from just mom stuff. I did this, so you can do this forever. Okay. List 10 ways the person that you want to serve, this is huge, pay attention. List 10 ways the person that you want to serve currently feels. So get into her feelings, or for if she's a past version of you, go back to those feelings. Like my ideal person is a past version of myself. Very easy to tap into those feelings, but it doesn't have to be that way. Okay. So AE Hink, I'm an artist. I have had trouble thinking of my ideal client. So are you selling your art or are you teaching art? If you're selling art, your ideal customer, it's about how much money they make based on your prices or what your prices that you want to sell your art for. If it's a fellow artist, then they have a skill and they would love to learn how to hone in on it and get better at it. And maybe they want to learn how to sell their art. Like, it just depends. So how do they currently feel? For example, confused, stuck, lost, like their goal is too hard. They're not confident. They're afraid of making mistakes, like et cetera, et cetera. 10 ways the person that you want to serve is currently feeling. Okay, if you're selling art, so your person is currently feeling like they want something to fill that massive wall in their home, and they want to support a local artist, and they want to feel really, really good about it, and they want it to speak to them, but it's so frustrating because they can't find it, or maybe they have found it and it was way out of their price range. Like, who are you catering to? What kind of money does this person make? What kind of home do they live in? And all your photos on your Instagram feed should be of your art in homes that are like that person's home. Like, are you reaching for a millennial that has like white walls and super trendy and your art goes with their stuff? Or is it more contemporary? Like, get super specific. Okay. Holistic nutritionist, but I'm focused on mindset and so passionate about the law of attraction and energy healing. Love this. Too many ideas, but they're all so connected. They're totally connected. No. Reframe. We need to reframe this for you. So you're a holistic nutritionist and you know that food is medicine. And you know as well as I do that everything that happens in the physical body is a physical manifestation of what's happening in the internal body, right? So like how I was talking on Instagram the other day about how acne is a symptom of shame and self-rejection. So we would need to heal past shame and self-rejection, or the rejection of the feminine, to heal acne, which is what I've been doing for the last year, right? So you can take that and do that. You can connect those things, but you want to start out the gate with holistic nutrition. Then you can explain all those things. Okay. You can niche down and get them in the gate with your niche. I get them in the gate with decluttering, and then I'm like, or actually sometimes I play a little trick on them and I get them in the gate with organization, since that's what everyone Googles. And then I'm like, let's get organized. And then I'm like, false. We're never going to get organized because organization doesn't work. It's a Band-Aid and it's not a permanent solution. Let's declutter. So you can, do whatever you need to do to get them in the gate, because it's your job to get them in the gate. Okay, so 10 ways the person you want to serve currently feels. Get into her feelings. Also, yes, Coles, I can't read your username, but you totally, your person is feeling frustrated. They're feeling stuck. They have tried all the weight loss things. They've tried all these nutrition things and it's not working. And it's because let's look inside. Let's look at what's going on in here. What's your childhood been like? What's stuck? Hi, Robin. What's happening for you internally, and then that will physically manifest on the outside. So holding on to weight is indicative of other things. PCOS is indicative of a rejection of the feminine self. All this, so you get them in the gate with the nutrition. I know this is what no one is talking about. Let's talk, and then you can explain. You find someone that's been having a hormone disorder, and you realize maybe they experienced something terrible that had to do with femininity, like a rape or an assault or the way they were raised. Mark it through nutrition and then explain it once they're in the gate. Exactly. Okay. List 12 ways. What time is it? Okay. List 12 ways you could help transform your ideal client's current feelings into results. This is a really good one. Okay. List 12 ways you could help transform your ideal client's current feelings into results. This can go from everything. For me, I can transform my client's current feelings into results by utilizing her emotional frustration into passion. I know what you want. I've been in your shoes, literally, and I know you want this for your kids and you want this for yourself, but you don't know how to get out because you're so deep in the overwhelm. I'm not there anymore. Let me throw you a rope and pull you out. So that's very easy for me. But even with mental health, money mindset, yes, like all of this stuff, we can do this with all of this. Oh my gosh, look at you guys finding clients. I'm obsessed with this. I have an accounting background, so I feel like I need to apply my passion skill. It's up to you. What business idea makes you expand and which one makes you contract? Does accounting make you contract? Then don't do that. But even with accounting, you can do all of these things because money brings up like, there's a book called The Soul of Money, I think, that I read at the beginning of my business. Like money brings up all kinds of stuff in people. It's very emotional. And accountants typically don't know that or talk about it. Like you could go so many ways and you could get into the heart of people's money and help them based on that. Like my money has expanded when I've dealt with internal spiritual things, not when I've been like, how can I invest? You know, I mean, it's a balance, but people don't realize how much money has a soul. Okay. So I want you to try to come up with 12 ways that you could help transform your clients' current feelings into results. Like what would you tell them to transform the way they feel? If you were teaching a class about it right now, what points would you make? Like just get brain dumping again. So I should really niche down on plant-based nutrition right now, even though ultimately I believe health is really about food and mindset, limiting beliefs and movement. You can do all of those things right now, but out the front of the gate, you're like, hey, this is a place for plant-based people, which I would like be obsessed. I want to learn about this because I'm like force feeding myself chicken. And I don't want to eat meat. I don't like it. But plant-based nutrition, and then say like, this is all connected. Like your health is a circle and there's all of these pieces in it. And I believe in plant-based nutrition and not everyone believes in that. There's people that freak the F out about plant-based and like, you can't do that. And there's people who are like, I can't believe you're not doing that. So you're on that side. You're on like, I believe in plant-based nutrition, but I also believe this is a circle. So your bio could be something like that. Like I help people or women, whoever, you know, that want to eat plant-based, balance all of these things. Like it doesn't have to just be like, oh, it's only plant-based nutrition. It could be all of that, but you've got to be explaining that all the time. Does that make sense? I don't want to confuse you guys. Okay, so let's move on. We have 15 minutes, so here we go. If you don't have serious clarity when you get to this point, whether right now or like on your own later, then you're unconsciously blocking the answer, okay? You're unconsciously, like, listen guys, you're unconsciously blocking the answer, okay? And it's okay, it's normal and it happens to the best of us, but when you're ready to receive the clarity, it will come. So your job is to get yourself ready. So to prepare yourself for this clarity, I want you to say this out loud. I'm going to give you something to say out loud. And then I want you to walk away from the space you're in. I want you to take a walk or go, make a snack, play with your kids, like move away from forcing yourself to come to an answer. Because force is never going to bring anything really good, right? So I want you to say this. I wrote it in the PDF for you, but I'm going to say it with you now. I am here for a reason. My intuition has told me for a while that I have a business in me. I choose to be ready to receive the clarity I need. I have decided to live out my purpose. I am grateful for divine timing. I do not need to force myself into anything. When I arrive at clarity, it will be the perfect time. And then you exit, you walk away, and you stay in that energy. You stay in that place. You decide to not be coming at this from a place of force. You decide that you get to have clarity on what you're here to do, and you work through limiting beliefs that come up when you imagine yourself starting this business. If you imagine yourself starting any business, what comes up? What fears come up? What are you like, my kids, my mother-in-law's gonna hate me, my husband's not gonna support me. Like what comes up? And you work through those things and clarity will come when you're not unconsciously blocking it, okay? Yes, limiting belief is it is total bull. We talked about that yesterday. Yes, of course. You're so right. That is what we should call it. I'm beginning to see my sticking points. Hot dang, I was not prepared to have all this mind-blowingness. I'm so glad. So you guys have got this. Like, this is fine. You're good. You can go through this later. If you do not have this PDF, you can go on my story right now, get the swipe up link, go download this. It's totally free. And then come back and watch this training if you'd like. Share it with your friends. Send people here. I want these women to be starting businesses. I am opening startup school on Monday and we're closing it on Friday. It's only open for a few days. And I will give you all the details next week, but I want you guys to really work on this for now. I want you to get clarity. Okay. Yes. Listen to it again, go through the PDF and really nothing will flow if you don't get yourself in a place of I'm ready to work through this. Even though I'm scared, even though I'm worried, I'm ready for this. And you can decide to be ready. Okay. So you don't have to do a bunch of stuff to get ready. You can just decide to be ready. And then when fears come up, work through them. So I've shared this before in the past and on the podcast, but one of my biggest limiting beliefs when I was starting out was if I do this, if I start a business and I make the money that I want to make, I'm going to embarrass my father. I'm going to embarrass him and disappoint him because I was always taught that if you don't go to college, you're going to end up flipping burgers your whole life and you're not going to be able to make any money. And my dad was always so proud that he immigrated from Cuba and worked really hard and saved money for me to go to college. And I went to college and I dropped out, and then I went to beauty college and I dropped out because I was floundering and I didn't belong there, and I knew in my gut I didn't belong there, but I didn't know what I was supposed to do with my life. And now I start this business, and if I blow this out of the water, my dad is gonna feel so dumb, and I love my dad and I don't wanna make him feel like that. So it held me back for a long time. So the thing changed, the limiting belief didn't just disappear. What happened was I moved from feeling afraid of that and unconsciously blocking the flow of ideas and blocking the flow of money to, there's that limiting belief again. I'm so worried about my dad, and working through it. What is the truth? My dad loves me. He's an entrepreneur himself. He wants me to be successful. He doesn't want us to be in this broke place anymore. He would be heartbroken if he really knew how bad it is in our family right now. This is not what he wants. And my dad did all these things. His family came from Cuba. They left murder and all of this crazy stuff that was happening in that country and came here and started over and gave me the privilege of even having the choice to start this business. This is so good. And even though that limiting belief was still kind of just niggling at me inside, it didn't disappear, but I was working through it and I was countering it with truth, and I was stepping into my greatness and stepping into my purpose and stepping into this is what I need to do. And it's okay that I'm scared, and I wasn't just letting that limiting belief sit there. I was working through it actively. And that's when the walls came down, and that's when the floodgates opened up, and it just everything happened. So it's not that the fear and all the stuff will just disappear. It's that you're working through it and it starts to soften. The wall starts to get lower, okay? And then things start to open up. So be encouraged, work through the Get Clear on Your Calling PDF, go and get it, download it, DM me if you can't find it. Danielle will point you in the right direction, and you guys have got this, okay? Love you guys so much. Good luck today.